he never chased the spotlight. He never played by anyone else's rules. Jimmy Page simply created, and the world of music was never the same. For more than 50 years, Page's guitar didn't just fill stadiums. It built kingdoms out of silence. Sure, there have been faster players and louder players, but not one of them ever managed to sound like him. And the truth is, no one ever will. When others wrote songs, Page seemed to paint with sound. He wasn't just a guitarist. He was an architect of thunder, a craftsman who turned riffs into monuments and solos into legends. Every phrase he played had a story. Every note carried weight. He didn't perform for fame or applause. He played for truth. And yet, beneath all the mystery and power, there were moments of surprising honesty. Certain songs still stop him in his tracks, still move him, even decades later. These aren't just Led Zeppelin's biggest hits. These are the songs that changed Jimmy Page himself. Today, let's step into his world and discover the 5 songs Jimmy Page holds closest to his heart. Not every song is written for the radio. Some are written because a memory simply refuses to stay quiet. For Page, 10 Years Gone was one of those. It wasn't crafted to be a hit. It began with a personal story, an old relationship that had ended a decade earlier when a girl chose another path. Page turned that memory into music. Layer by layer, guitar after guitar, he built a vast wall of sound. Each part carried its own voice, its own emotion, and together they told a story about more than one lost love. This was about time itself, about choices, about regret, and about what it means to look back with both sadness and acceptance. The recording process was painstaking. Page played parts again and again, not because they were wrong, but because they could be better. I wanted every guitar to breathe, he later said. I wanted them to talk to each other. The result was breathtaking. Robert Plant's soaring vocals carried the lyrics, while Page's guitars created a cathedral of sound. Listeners felt the weight of those 10 years, the longing, the beauty, and the quiet strength that comes with letting go. Page later admitted, "It's the song that taught me vulnerability can be strength." This song was never meant to comfort. It was meant to confront. It began as an old blues number sung by many before. But when Page and Led Zeppelin took it on, they turned it into an 11-minute epic. He picked up the slide guitar and made it cry, scream, and confess. The studio recording was electric. John Bonham's drums thundered like Judgment Day. John Paul Jones anchored the bottom end. Plant's vocals cracked with raw emotion. And Page's guitar carried it all, sometimes gentle, sometimes furious. All was honest. Love, it became something close to a religious experience. Page played not to impress, but to tell the truth about mortality, bending every note like a prayer. He respected the blues, honored its tradition, but he also knew how to make it his own. "The blues never die," Page once said. "They just find new voices to tell their stories." For him, this track symbolized transformation, how something ancient can be reborn, and how even a song about death can pulse with new life. The blues never lies, and Jimmy Page never learned how to fake it. Since I've Been Loving You wasn't layered with overdubs or hidden behind tricks. It was 4 musicians in a room pouring their hearts out. Incredibly, the final take that made it onto the album was done in just one take. Page's guitar sounded like it was bleeding. Plant's voice cracked with real pain. Bonham's drums beat like a broken heart, while Jones held everything together with quiet strength. The guitar tone was everything. Sharp, yet tender, clean, yet dirty. Page spent hours adjusting until it sounded like tears in sound form. "I wanted it to sound like someone trying not to break down," he later explained. The recording was emotionally draining. You can hear Plant's voice tremble. You can feel Page himself fighting back tears through the strings. Fans knew it wasn't just performance, it was therapy. Critics hailed it as Zeppelin's greatest blues achievement. Fans called it their most powerful song. But for Page, the truth was simpler. It's just honest. And that honesty is exactly what makes it immortal. Not all storms bring thunder. Some arrive quietly like rain. This piece was born out of a challenge. A critic had mocked Led Zeppelin, saying they couldn't write ballads, that they were just loud and heavy. Page took that as a mission. He sat down with his guitar and began to write something delicate, something atmospheric. The result was the Rain Song. He layered gentle chords like falling raindrops. He brought in strings and acoustic textures that felt like light breaking through clouds. I wanted it to feel like actual rain, he explained, soft at first, then swelling into something larger and more powerful. Plant's vocals rose and fell like the wind in a storm. The lyrics spoke of love and longing. But it was Page's guitar that truly painted the weather. You could almost smell the rain before it came. The song transformed Zeppelin's image. Critics who dismissed them as noise merchants had to admit this was poetry. This was art. In concert, the Rain Song gave fans a moment of calm in the middle of wild, high-energy shows. People swayed, closed their eyes, and let the music wash over them. For Page, it proved that versatility is strength, that true artists can whisper as powerfully as they can roar. Some riffs are written, others are discovered. Kashmir didn't come from jam sessions or chord charts. It felt excavated, as if it had been buried in the earth, waiting for Page to unearth it. The strange tuning, the hypnotic rhythm, it shouldn't have worked, but it did. From the first riff, it felt ancient, like the sound of deserts, mountains, and journeys through lands that don't exist on maps. Bonham's drums thundered like war gods. Plant's vocals soared like an eagle in flight. And Page? He tied it all together with a riff that became eternal. Recording Kashmir was like building a pyramid. Every part had to be perfect. Page used orchestras and exotic instruments, weaving textures rock had never heard before. I wanted it to feel like a journey, he later explained on Live. The song became more than music. It was a spell. Fans didn't just hear it, they felt it in their bones. Critics called it progressive. Fans called it transcendent. But for Page, it was something deeper. It's not about showing off, he reflected. It's about touching something eternal. He obsessed over every detail, playing the riff for hours to find the perfect tone. And in the end, Kashmir became his masterpiece. The song he himself admitted was his proudest achievement.